Yo, everybody. Remember that? Yo, everybody.
It's our first radio show.
Yeah, like 2 decades ago.
Back in 1999 or something, 1998.
Yeah, remember the guy goes to me, he goes 5, 4, 3, 2. And then he goes like this, and I'm like, and what did I say? How did I say it?
Well, because I always open the show, but one day I was out of the booth. I was doing something out in the outer office, and you were waving me in. And I would always open the show, and then he counted down, and then you didn't know what to say, and you went, "Yo, everybody!"
And that's why I use that, like on our podcast. When you listen to the audio podcast later, I use that in our intro, and I actually have you doing it this time.
Yeah,
Listen, everybody.
Even when I did the radio show here in Vegas a couple years ago on 1420 AM, I was always opening the show with, "Yo, everybody, what's going on?" It makes no sense.
I know. So, all right, let me get down to the particulars here. Yo, y'all, we are Old Minute Sweats. I'm Barry D, and this is my buddy Tommy T, and this is our program. 3, 2, 1, action.
Yo, everybody.
I was waiting for you to get it. This program is brought to you by our Cajun brothers at Boot Crew Media and Hornitos Tequila. Here's to the shot takers, the ones who, like us, believe nothing ever great happens if you don't take a chance, because it's a shot worth taking. So do you got your Hornitos, Tommy?
I just took a shot of I keep mine in my thermos. I keep it iced.
And you know, I like saying Hornitos. I like saying it like Hornitos. Hornitos tequila. So I got mine here. All right, so here's to you, T.
All right, buddy.
Old Men of Sweat.
You're feeling better this week.
Kinda. I'm going here to dog. I feel a little better. Hornitos makes me feel good. And then I got something else I got to eat because I didn't have dinner yet. So I got to have a little dinner maybe here. But anyway, let's get right into it. Let's get with our sweaty hit list here. And we always start with the Raider wrap up. Let's go ahead and talk about the Raiders from last week.
This is great. Okay, so last year, Miami, they beat the Raiders. They came into Allegiant Stadium. It was an empty Allegiant Stadium last year with no fans. And they beat the Raiders in one of the worst losses I've ever seen in years. And the Raiders had the ball. They were in field goal range. They had a choice of running the clock down to 0, or there was some decision that John Gruden had to make at the end of the game last year.
Wind is a pirate.
Yeah, in Miami. So Miami beat the Raiders on a last-second victory when the Raiders blew it. So this year, same thing was happening. We're watching the game, and Miami's up 14-0. And what the heck? I can't. It's bad.
That's the Raider theme song. I just had to throw that in. I love that guy.
Facenda? That's John
Yes,
Facenda,
I had to throw. I got to throw that in all the time. That's so classic. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt there. But anyway.
So the Raiders are playing Miami again this year, and it was the same thing. I mean, the Miami jumped out to a 14-0 lead. They had Jacoby Brissett playing instead of Tua Tagovailoa, whom I don't think is very good. I thought that it was actually bad break for the Raiders that they weren't playing against Tua. I think he's worse than Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett played a good game. They were up 14-0. Derek Carr threw a pick six, a terrible pick six. It was one of the few mistakes he's made this year. Guy returned to 85 yards or something like that, right? So then the Raiders come back and they score 25 consecutive points, right? But in the process of scoring those 25 consecutive points, of course, the kicker's got to miss an extra point. So it's an 11-point lead, not a 12-point lead. And of course, Miami somehow scores the last 11 points of the game to put it into overtime because the kicker misses an extra point. He's a great kicker. So the kicker, who's been great, and the quarterback, who's been great, they made a couple of mistakes, and it cost them. They had to go into overtime. And so then the Raiders, they go down and they kick a field goal in overtime. Miami gets the ball. They go down and kick a field goal in overtime. And what happens during that is at some point the Raiders were committing defensive pass interference all over the field. There was one call where Jacoby Brissett threw it into the end zone, and Jonathan Abrams committed defensive pass interference, but the referees didn't call it. So Miami had to kick a field goal to tie it. And then, of course, the Raiders won the game. So it was the kind of game where I kept saying this Miami team will not quit. That's what I came away from that game more than the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders are off to a 3-0 start. It's fantastic. They haven't been playing perfect football. But the Miami just would not quit. And I love those teams. That's the same way that Miami played last year. They would not quit, right? So now we got the Raiders. They're off to the best start that they could have had. They got 2 home games at Allegiant Stadium here, and they're both overtime. Game 1 against the Ravens, where they won that game, lost that game, won that game, lost that game, and they won it again. Same thing with Game 3 of the season. The next home game is an overtime game where, again, they won it, lost it, won it, lost it. So this Raider team is going to be maddening this year. I don't think that there's going to be any easy games. I mean, they're the kind of team where they could lose to the Jets. They don't – I don't know. They're a weird team. They're a good team, but they're a weird team, right?
And this is the problem. They're a weird team. And in that division, it's so tough, that AFC West. Like, I don't know if you can be like them. They're like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And that pass interference that won in the end zone, both those guys, they mugged the guy. They crushed the guy. And then they got up and complained. Oh, I didn't do nothing. I'm so sick of watching that. It's like, you killed them. Oh, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. Every call is a complaint. And I don't think that's right. But you know what?
That was the pass interference in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
where they did that. But that Jacoby Brissett, there was one point. I don't know if it was in the fourth quarter. Maybe it was the fourth quarter, but it was 4th and 20. The game's over. All they got to do is stop him. It's 4th and 20.
And he throws the ball over the middle, across the header to that tight end who looked like he had cement blocks on his back. That guy couldn't even move. We could run faster than that guy, and he actually caught it. And he got the first down. I couldn't believe it. Of all the guys they got it to, that guy.
Well, no, Mike Gesicki. He's a top rated tight end out of Penn State. I think. Well, he played a good game. He's a pretty quick tight end. But it was the quarterback who made the play. They rushed him. They flushed him out of the pocket. He runs forward. He runs up close to the line of scrimmage, runs parallel to the line of scrimmage, and then he throws a perfect pass on 4th and 20.
He's good. That guy's good. Colts screwed up not keeping him.
Yeah,
I like that guy. Good. He's good.
You're right. He's good. He's very good. I don't know why New England got rid of him. I don't know why the Colts got rid of him. The guy's tough. He's got the job for a few weeks because Tagovailoa is out. And I'll tell you, Brian Flores, the head coach of the Dolphins, he's not in love with Tagovailoa. He's not. I mean, they drafted him, but he doesn't think that Tua's the best. He benched him last year for Fitzpatrick a couple times.
So you think in that Dolphin game, you were more impressed with the Dolphins than the Raiders, but I think the Raiders gutted it out again. They showed a lot of guts again. Like it doesn't matter how you win. Just win, baby. Just win, baby. Right. And, that's what they're doing right now. They're just winning. And I think those games, especially early in a season, build character. And I know people say that all the time, build character, but I think it does. Because I think when you get in those kind of games early, then later in the season, because it will happen later in the season, those divisional games, those second games at the end and stuff, it's good to have that crunch time early that you succeeded. I think it's going to help them, even though for fans like us watching the Raiders and everybody in Vegas, they're all their hearts must be, people must be in the emergency room the next day.
It was a painful game to watch. And like I said, I walked away from that game going, this freaking Miami does not quit. I would hate to play that team all the time.
Yeah, they are tough. They are tough.
But you're right, though. The Raiders are 3-0. It's the best start possible, and they played 3 tough teams. I don't know if the Steelers are tough, but they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh, right? Yeah. They played 3 tough teams. So, and now they have to go into LA on Monday night and play the Chargers, who just beat the Chiefs. So you're right. That AFC West and the NFC West, they're easily the 2 best divisions in the NFL.
That's murder row. It's murder row. Those 2 divisions, ridiculous, man.
Yeah, I watched the replay of the Chargers-Chiefs game yesterday, because I try to watch as many games as possible during the week, so, we're informed. Mahomes isn't playing great football. He's still, I mean, he's still playing. He's still making a lot of great plays, but made some terrible turnovers. My buddy Hightower says that the reason Mahomes is playing badly is he's trying to compensate for a bad defense, and I think that that's just excuse making. And people do this when a quarterback is great and something doesn't go right or he's not playing as well. They always say, "Oh, it's the team. It's not the quarterback. It's the team."
Yeah,
and it's the same thing. When a quarterback who's got the reputation of not being an elite quarterback, when he's playing great, they always say, yeah, the reason he's playing so well, it's the team around him. You know, they've been saying that about Dak Prescott for years. He's got a lineman. But, you know, I just like to call it as I see it. And I watched the game between Mahomes and Herbert. Herbert is a great quarterback. He's a great young quarterback. Mahomes is a great quarterback, but Mahomes didn't play well. He threw a couple of terrible interceptions in that game.
So spinning around for this week for the Raiders with the Chargers, I hate to say it, but I think the Chargers are going to take them. I just watching the Chargers against the Chiefs. You're right. Mahomes doesn't look his usual self, and I don't believe that thing either, that the defense is the problem and all that. But I think the Raiders going into L.A., even though I don't even know if that's a home field thing, the SoFi thing, I just think the Chargers are better right now than the Raiders. If the Raiders were home, I would maybe think maybe the Raiders could step up. But I'll be surprised if they stop the Chargers. I'll be really surprised. I don't think so.
Me too. The Raiders are, the Chargers are in L.A. They're playing at SoFi Stadium, of course, with the Rams, but they're a tenant. They pay rent, right? They're literally
like the Clippers. The Clippers.
Yeah, they're like the Clippers. But now the Clippers have the billionaire owner who's building his own stadium because he doesn't want to be a tenant. But here's the thing with the Chargers. The Chargers are going to play 17 road games this year. They don't have a home game. They played against the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. They have more Cowboy fans there. The Chargers don't have a home field advantage. So that actually might work out to their benefit because they're just a mentally tough team. You know, they pulled that game out of Kansas City. They were up in that game, and Kansas City took the lead 21-17, and the Chargers came back. And then Kansas City took the lead again, and the Chargers came back. So they're a mentally tough team. They're in Kansas City. But to the Chargers, that doesn't seem like it should be a big deal this year. You know, they're going home to play the Raiders.
Do you think they should have gave some of the San Diego Charger fans from San Diego that had season tickets, do you think they gave them a deal for LA tickets so they could drive up there and still be part of the team?
No, I think that the Spanos family gave the San Diego Chargers a big middle finger. That's stupid. They left that city and they had a true home field advantage there. They were loved there. And they just went up. They went 2 hours up the freeway because it raised the value of their team. When you're playing in LA, the value of your team gets doubled or whatever it is. Who knows?
I get it, but I just think in San Diego, they had a fan base. I know San Diego's on how many million people in San Diego? A couple million? 2, 3 million.
They didn't have a stadium. That was
I know, but I'm just saying.
San Diego wanted the Spanos family and the NFL to build a stadium.
I get that, but once they left, I still think because it's close enough. I mean, the freeways in LA, you can get anywhere in like quick. It's like going back to the future. You get in the DeLorean and you're back like quickly down the freeway right to where you got to go. And I just think they should have given the season ticket fans at least. They should have gave them a deal at SoFi to keep that base, and they would have traveled to LA, and they would have went to those games.
The San Diego fans that I know, they hate the Chargers now. They're pissed.
Yeah, I know, but if they did that for them, right?
Yeah,
at least showed some kind of olive branch to give to them. Yeah. I think those guys. I think it would have been a bonus for them, and I think the transition would have been better. Right now, those people are just watching the game at home, and like you said, they're a visiting team now. The Dallas Cowboys roll into town, and they got more fans because they're a national team. And here's the San Diego Chargers who moved up to LA right up the freeway, the 5 freeway, and there's nobody there. It's like they should have did something for them.
But buddy, some people say that the Raiders have more fans in LA than both the Chargers and the Rams.
I believe
LA
that.
is a Raiders town.
I believe that.
So it doesn't make any difference if the Raiders are playing the Rams. I think the Raiders still would have more fans. The Raiders are like the Cowboys and the Steelers. Yep. Those 3 teams, the Steelers, the Raiders, the Cowboys, Well, they have fans all over the country. The Raiders, mostly the West Coast, but the Cowboys and Steelers, they're national teams. They have fans all over the place. But the Raiders, I think the Raiders.
No, you're right about the Raiders because I went to a preseason game at Anaheim Stadium, LA Rams against the Raiders. And it was so funny because the Ram fans were lambs. They were lambs. They weren't Rams. They were lambs. Yeah, and the Raider fans were so into the game. It's a preseason game. I was just watching the Raider fans were just beating the crap out of the Ram fans. And the Ram fans were like, what are you doing? It's a preseason game. I want to go back to Anaheim Hills and Newport Beach and relax. And the Raider fans were so into it. And I knew after I watched that game, I go, the Rams aren't staying here. They're not staying here. It's not going to happen. They stay here. So, all right. So who do you like? Who do you like? Because we have to. I like the Chargers, even though I want the Raiders to win it.
I think it's going to be a tight game because I think Josh Jacobs is coming back, and if Josh Jacobs comes back, I think the Raiders can run their offense the way they like to run it. Because I think that Jacobs is. I think that the Chiefs ran the ball. They ran the ball down. The Chargers' throat last week. And the Cowboys ran the ball down the Chargers' throat 2 weeks ago. The Raiders can run the ball on the Chargers if Jacobs is there. So I think that if Josh Jacobs is there and he's healthy and the Raiders can, put a couple running backs in there, they got the backup Kenyon Drake, and then they might have Jalen Richard back. So they'll run the ball, and if they run the ball, they'll control the ball. So I think that game is going to go down to the wire. I think it's going to be like all the AFC West games this year.
You think a kicker at the end?
Yeah, I think it's going to go right down to the wire like they all do. So it'll be a great game.
What's Jacobs listed as on the injury report?
Well, they say that he was a full participant in practice today. So a full participant is a good sign.
That's a good sign.
And I don't know if they labeled him questionable or probable yet.
Full participant means he put on his jock strap and his pants and his shirt, and he may have went through the drills.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. It means he wasn't off to the side working with the trainers.
Yeah, with Bill Belichick, it's the guy that come out of the locker room is full participant.
Also what Bill Belichick does with the injured list is he'll put all 53 guys on the injured list.
It's ridiculous. Okay, so you're kind of leaning Raiders. I'm leaning Chargers. Jacobs, if he plays, you're right, it's closer, but I just like the Chargers at home. I don't want to bet against the Raiders. I don't want to play this game. I'm not playing it. I want the Raiders to win. We're Las Vegas. I want the Raiders to win. This is going to be a gut check game. It's going to be a tough game. I wish the Raiders all the best. So now let's change gears and go to this yawner of a Thursday night football game. And I want to say something. Whoever the schedule guy is for the NFL Network, for Thursday Night Football, he should get fired, and we should be the schedule guy. Because right now I only see one game so far. It's week 4 now, and here we are, and it is the Jags against the Bengals. What are we going to talk about? I mean, what a joke.
Well, the Thursday night games are traditionally the worst games of the year. We got lucky. The first game was Tampa Bay against the Cowboys.
Of course.
And then the next week we had the Giants in Washington. That was a greght game too. So the last 2 weeks, we got the Texans and they got the Jaguars. Awful, just awful,
terrible.
The Jaguars. I'm gonna talk about Jacksonville at length during Tommy T's take later.
Oh, good. I don't want to talk about this game at all right now.
Yeah, there's nothing to talk about. The only thing I would like to say though is on the Bengals side, they beat Pittsburgh last week in Pittsburgh. That they scored 24 points. That's the first time they scored over 20 points in Pittsburgh in like 20 years. And the Bengals they drafted Jamar Chase, the former receiver for Joe Burrow at LSU. During the preseason, Jamar Chase was dropping everything. He was dropping all of his passes during the preseason games. And everyone, of course, they made a huge deal out of it because they make a big deal out of everything in NFL.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Jamar Chase didn't help matters when he tried to explain after the last preseason game. He tried to explain that the ball in the NFL has no stripe on it like in college. So he said that it's hard to see the rotation.
Oh, I didn't. You know what? That's actually interesting.
It's interesting, yeah. And so he was kind of making an excuse for dropping so many passes in preseason. And then when he made that excuse, everyone just jumped on that and made a big deal out of it. So what does Jamar do? He scores 4 touchdowns in the first 3 games. He made a catch down the left sideline on a go pattern. he caught the ball. He caught the back half of the ball, like it was a perfect pass.
It's ridiculous.
Into the end zone, the ball went over his head. He was running full speed. He reached. He got the ball, but he grabbed the back half of the ball. So he pulled it in, touchdown. So he hasn't dropped anything once the season started.
And let's face it, preseason is timing. It's timing. These guys, like, they played together, right, at LSU. Yeah. But it's still timing. I mean, so people get all bent out of shape. I'm so sick of these people. He didn't play last year. Preseason. It's timing. It's timing on these passing patterns and stuff.
But he skipped the season last year, too. So he didn't play any football last year because he skipped as one of the COVID. You know, he was a COVID casualty. He didn't want to play last year. So he skipped the season last year.
Yeah, but also, what's-his-face was hurt.
Yeah, no, but Jamar was still in college last year.
No, I know, but Burrows didn't even play, right? He had his ACL thing.
Yeah, he missed the last part of the year. He missed the last 7 games, yeah.
All right, so let these guys catch up. I mean, everybody's got to calm down a little bit sometimes. I'm not calm right now, but I got to calm down.
I think that San Diego's they're a good team. I think they're going to be a good team. Jacksonville, they stink. We'll get to them later. Let's go down to the Sunday sweat.
Yeah, they stink. They got Caitlyn Jenner as quarterback. They suck. Yeah, all right, so let's go to the Sunday sweat. All right, the first game I want to talk about, I don't know if you want to talk about this game, but I want to go back to the NFC West. I'm sorry. I want to talk about the Rams and the Cards. I want to talk about those two teams. I like that game. Action. There's action in that game. It's going to be action.
The Cardinals-Rams?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best game of the week. But again, it's the same thing as the Raiders and Chargers and the Rams and Cardinals. They're division games, the two best divisions, right? Those are the best games. The Raiders, Chargers Monday night, and the Rams, Cardinals are going to be a great game. Kyler Murray going against Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. The Arizona Cardinals are loaded with skill position players. They got wide receivers everywhere, right? The Raiders, the Rams got wide receivers everywhere. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait for that one. Yeah, 100%.
So that I love that game. You can't talk enough about that game. The two quarterbacks, the receivers in that game. You know, the difference in that game, in that Rams-Cards game, is the defense of the Rams. That's the difference. It's going to be the difference in that game because, the Cardinals are suspect on D. They're better than what they used to be, and I think actually their offensive line is really good. I read somewhere that their offensive line, the Cardinals' offensive line, is fifth best against giving time. They give them as far as time in the NFL for the quarterback, the fifth best, which is good. But the Rams actually have the fifth best at getting to the quarterback.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Sure. So, but the Cardinals do have Chandler Jones. They got Chandler Jones. They got Isaiah Simmons. They got Zaven Collins. So they got a lot of pass rushers, and they got Budda Baker in the defensive backfield. So they got some players back there now on defense. The Rams, of course, got the two famous guys, Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. The Rams.
Yeah.
I think, listen, if you're giving picks on your weekly, pick 'em, you can't give a pick on the Rams or Cardinals, and you can't give a pick on the Chargers or the Raiders. There's no way to pick those games. Those are division games. Those are all good teams. Yeah, you're not going to come out and say, oh, listen, take the Rams minus the points or take the Chargers at home. There's no way. If anyone comes out and says they got a pick for that game, there's no way.
Well, you know what? Later on, I'm going to have picks for those games because those are the exciting games, and people want to watch those games and they want to look at them. Exciting. And I got a way to bet those games. But anyway, I love the Rams game. I think the Rams are just a little better. They don't really have their running game really anymore, but it doesn't matter. Did you watch Deshaun Jackson last week? My God. That guy's old. He's old because in football, you're old in your 30s. We're old, regular old. We're not like dog years old. Those guys are like dog years old. That guy, did you see him just blow by the guy? It was like, what? Really?
Not even the touchdown pass, but the other one is he caught that one pass on the sideline.
I couldn't
believe it was only like a 15 or 20-yard pass, and he turned up the sideline, and he was gone. He ran down to 5.
Did he go to Santa Monica Community College for 2 years?
He went to Cal Berkeley.
I thought he went 2 years and then he went to Cal Berkeley.
He might have. He
might have. He's from there. He's from the Cal. He loves it there. You know what?
I think he's a Long Beach Poly guy.
Oh, that's what he is, Long Beach Poly. Yeah, he's a Long Beach Poly guy. You know what?
Yeah.
Well, the tough teams are Long Beach Poly, Modern Day, And there's another team down in Orange County that's tough besides Westlake up north in LA where Huggy Bear's kid went.
Rancho Santa Margarita. There's a million teams. There's a million teams there. Yeah.
You remember that Westlake school up north of LA, that Westlake private school where Huggy Bear's kid went? Huggy Bear. Remember Huggy Bear's kid went?
That was Fuentes.
Yeah. His kid went to Notre Dame, played running back at Notre Dame.
Yeah. He was a good college player.
All right. So let's move on from the Rams card. It's deniably probably the best game. Where do you want to go? You want to go a Seattle San Fran?
Well, that's another division game. Those two teams are going to pound each other. They're gonna kill each other, right?
Yeah, I mean that game. That's a tough game, but Seattle looks suspect now. They don't look. I don't know. After playing the Vikings, I watched it. I go, these guys aren't that good.
Yeah, but buddy, you're underselling the Vikings. The Vikings should be 3-0. The Vikings are good. Their defense isn't great, but the Vikings are a good team.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough going into Minnesota right now. In fact, the Browns and the Vikings is one of my favorite games this week because
really,
Kirk Cousins is playing at a crazy elite level, right? And it's amazing because he's not vaccinated. So, like, they're going to get the call any day now that says, oh, excuse me, Kirk is positive. He's going to have to sit down for 2 weeks, right? But right now, he's playing his best football that he's played in the 3 or 4 years that he's with Minnesota. The Browns come in. They're an excellent team. You know, they got the running game with the two-headed running game with Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They got that great defense with Myles Garrett. I mean, they killed that kid. What's his name? Justin Fields. Oh my God, they crushed him. That was one of the worst offensive performances I've seen in years. Of course, leave it to the Bears. The Bears are awful. They're always awful.
And also, they got the best commercial actor quarterback in the league.
Great. I mean,
the best commercial actor quarterback in the league, Baker Mayfield.
Listen, Baker Mayfield, if he throws out his arm this week, if he tears a labrum in his shoulder and he can't play quarterback anymore in the NFL, he's fine. He's fine. He's going to have a great acting career.
They should put Baker Mayfield when he retires with Tony Romo.
Yeah,
let them do a game.
Great.
Forget that. You don't need the other guys. Al Michaels will be dead by then. So you don't need him. You don't need Joe Buck and these other guys.
Or Jim Nance.
You don't need these guys. I know they want to have a play-by-play and a color commentary. Just let Baker Mayfield, Garrett, I swear to God, Baker Mayfield and Tony Romo be the best ever together.
You know, you're right, man. Just get two guys to talk about the game. You don't have to have someone set it up. So we got 39 at the 32-yard line, and we got Stafford. Stafford's in the shotgun. He's got two guys split right. We don't need that.
Well, you know what's funny? They still do it like there's no TV. They still do it like don't get me wrong. Vince Scully, as far as painting a picture in any sport, and Keith Jackson, unbelievable painting a picture. You could close your eyes and not even watch the TV or just listen audio-wise and see what was going on. But in the world we live now, you know, they still do this thing like they think they have to do this play-by-play. And I remember before when we were kids, it was weird. Like we'd watch the game, and do you remember when you watched the game and they didn't have the arrow on each side of the field?
Yeah,
and you had to wonder where they were.
Yeah,
and you had to wonder. You were like, where are they? Are they on my 30 or the other team's 30?
Yeah, it would take a minute.
Kids don't know this. We used to sit there and struggle watching a football game and wondering what side of the field they are on.
We used to watch a game for 10 minutes sometimes before we knew what the score was.
Yeah, we didn't know anything.
They didn't show the score until they go to commercial. We would come in the middle of a game. Who's winning? I don't know. Who's winning? We'd watch the game for like 5 or 10 minutes. And if they go to a commercial, then they'd show the score. You'd be like,
because they used to show the scoreboard. They had to shoot the scoreboard to show the score. Yeah. But I have to say, again, Baker Mayfield, Romo, you put them together. They have to stop this nonsense that they need to do play-by-play because there's so much graphics now, field goal line, first down line, the arrows so you know what side of the field they're on. I know if it's first. I mean, I don't need to know any of that. But anyway, we let a little off subject. But San Fran, Seattle, I like that game. It's an important game for both teams. But I don't think I think San Fran's going to take them no matter what. I just think San Fran's better.
Seattle's won most of the games recently.
It don't matter.
Most of them.
It don't matter. Jimmy G actually playing good.
I want to run down the terrible games this week. This is not a great week. We got today's game, the Jaguars and the Bengals. Awful.
Whatever.
The Panthers, Cowboys, and the Giants, Saints. I don't think those are going to be terrible games. The Washington and the Falcons, awful. Lions and Bears, awful.
Awful.
Titans and
wait
the
a minute.
Awful.
Lions and Bears. Oh my.
Yeah. Yeah. We got the Chiefs going to go into Philly and play the Eagles. That's not going to be a good game. We got the late games now. We got the late games. You got the Seahawks and Niners, great game. The Ravens Broncos will be a tough game. And then the Steelers at the Packers. That'll be a good game. That's a late game. And the Ram
Cardinals is at 4:00.
And then the late game is the Sunday night game is, of course, the game of the week was Tampa Bay and New England. And I got to tell you, buddy, I don't know. I guess it's me. I guess it's just me, but I could care less about Tom Brady going back to New England and playing Belichick. I don't care. I don't know why I don't care. Everyone else is talking about it like it's the greatest thing, the most important game of the year. As far as I'm concerned, Tom Brady already gave Belichick the fist last year when he won the Super Bowl, and Belichick didn't make the playoffs. Right? Yeah, there he is.
Are you talking about me?
There he is.
Are you talking about me, Tommy T?
Yes. Barry.
I'm TB12, and I'm going back to New England to get clam chowder, lobster rolls, and beat the crap out of Bill Belichick. I'm going to take him and his sweatshirts down, and I'm going to take his wife. His wife would rather be with me. Look at my wife. Look at him. Look at me. I'm going back in to show everyone there that I am TB12.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, TB12. You don't even eat lobster and lobster bisque and clam chowder. You don't even eat lobster roll. You don't eat that stuff. So what are you talking about?
I'll order it like I order Subway subs with bread. I do the commercial for them, but I don't eat it. Yeah. I'll go to the restaurant and order it because they'll give me money to order it. I will eat lobster roll with no bread and no butter. Okay. It's a high source of protein.
Okay. Very good, buddy. Okay.
He doesn't like you. You interviewed him the first show, and he's still mad at you about your interview with him because you kept asking him about other people and not him.
No, I asked him about deflating the footballs, and I asked him, is there any video of you with a football between your knees with a pressure gauge? I don't think he deflated the footballs. I'm a big Tom Brady supporter. I don't think that Tom Brady gives a damn about going into New England and beating Belichick. They're gonna beat Belichick. They're not gonna lose to that Mac. What is it, Mac Jones? I keep wanting to call him Mac Davis, the old country music singer. He played.
That's good. Well, wasn't that Mac Jones a Southern guy? He was a Southern man with a Southern drawl.
Mac Davis played the quarterback on the famous movie in the 1970s called North Dallas 40. He played the quarterback, and Nick Nolte played his wide receiver. Mac Davis doesn't have an ounce of athletic ability in his entire body, and they actually had him playing quarterback. I don't think he could throw the ball like 10 yards.
Why didn't Burt Reynolds play that role?
Well, who knows? Maybe they offered it to him. Who knows?
He probably didn't. They probably didn't give him enough money. But I'll tell you one thing Nick Nolte didn't have to do, and Nick Nolte is an unbelievable character actor. And a lot of you young kids, you don't even know who Nick Nolte is. But way back when Nick Nolte was starting his career, I would watch a TV series on our 5 channels. You would have 5 channels back in the day. And it was called Rich Man, Poor Man. And he was on there, and he was a character actor. But I know one thing of that North Dallas 40, he didn't have to do too much character acting because I think his body was beat to crap when he did that show. He was beat up.
Yeah, but he was young though. It was in the 70s.
But back then, you would just tear an ACL like at the bar, like standing at the bar getting a drink. You fall down, you tear an ACL. No one was in the shape they were now. I mean, so Nick Nolte was, he was all bruised up. I think just initially, like he just was, and he played that character fantastically. But let's go. I want to ask you one thing. We're talking about the Pats and the Bucs. So there's not really much more to talk about with that game. It is what it is. It's baloney. It's just a setup. It's an eminence front. Yeah. It's an eminence front, as who would say. It's a put on. It's a put on. So whatever happens, I mean, we may come back to it on our picks, But now we need to move forward, and we need to move to our new segment, our new hot segment that soon will be sponsored by some medical group. Because I know they're going to come knocking on the door. They're going to go, this is an unbelievable segment, and we love it that you're talking about these things, because this is what happens. Like Tom and I talk sports, and right now we talk NFL. It's the NFL. That's the season, right? But life is life, and other things happen in between, right? So now our new segment, we're going to talk the Doogie Howser MD segment. And Tommy, I know that you had some scenarios with your heart thing, and I want you to share with everybody what's going on.
After last week's show, 8 o'clock Friday morning, I was at the cardiologist office. That was my scheduled appointment because I had all these tests over the summer. And one of them was I had to wear that heart monitor for 7 days, where I had the I had the electrodes. I had the 3 electrodes on my chest, and it was recording my heart. And I had to wear it for 7 days straight. The only time I could take it off is when I took a shower or went in a pool. So I wore it like basically at least 23 hours a day. I wore it at night to sleep. I wore it all day long. I didn't wear it during my workouts. I took it off during my workouts. Mm-hmm. So,
which I don't know if that was a good idea, because that's probably when your heart would go crazy.
I told the doctor. The doctor knew that I do the boot camps and the Pilates and the yoga in those heated rooms. So it wouldn't have stayed on anyway.
I'm not a doctor, and I don't play one on TV, but I probably would have told you to keep it on during the workouts. But continue.
Well, it wouldn't have stayed on. Like as I'm working out, it would have just fallen off because I'm soaking wet. So it was a moot point. Like when I work out, it's like I jump in the pool. So I went there on Friday morning, and he had all my tests. Oh, I did the ultrasound too, which is the same thing as when my wife was pregnant with my babies, and you go in there to see the babies with the ultrasound, and you could see the babies, only they do it with your heart. So you could see the screen, and you could see them moving the thing over, and you could see all the different parts of your heart, and I could see it on the screen. So, I did that, I did all these tests, and I finally met with the doctor, and he came in, and he went through all the tests. He said, hey, the ultrasound looks normal. Yeah. He went through the heart monitor. He went through, blood pressure, my weight, everything's good. Yeah. All the blood work was good. And he said to me at the end, he said, listen, he goes, I don't say this to my patients. I don't ever say this to my patients. But he said, I want you to get out of my office, and I don't ever want you to come back. So
I heard that line before. That's a setup line by a doctor. I've heard that before.
I've never heard. I mean, everyone else in the office is like 80 years old, and they could barely make it when they call them from the waiting room. Like they're all in walkers, and it's a cardiologist office. Everyone's like 100 pounds overweight, and they all got a heart doctor.
And here's you. The best guy, the most in shape freaking guy in the heart doctor office.
So he comes in, he runs through all the tests, and he told me, get out of here. He said, get out of here and don't come back. And I had to go past the reception with my paperwork, and I had to check out. And I told the lady at the desk, I said, he told me to get out of here and not come back. And she said, what? And I said, well, that's what he said. And she goes, well, I still have to release you. So I gave her my paperwork, and then she was looking for the note in the file. I guess he didn't complete my file yet in the minute that I was walking out of the office. And she said, okay, I guess I'm going to have to take your word for it. We don't have another appointment for you. And I said, yeah, I'm done. So I left, and I'm done.
Yeah, but you should have said, well, your wife wouldn't appreciate this, but you could have had a good line. You could have said, but if you need me, you got my phone number, right?
Yeah.
And maybe she go, what do you mean? Well, if you need me, maybe you need, maybe I need like an outpatient appointment, and you need to check my heart. But you know what? You're okay now, right?
Everything. Well, I was always okay. I was just having that one problem, and he said that the heart monitor just says that you have some extra heartbeats. He said that's not really an issue. He said there's really nothing. There's nothing to. There's really no other test I could take right now. And like I said, through the whole thing, I've been doing all those crazy workouts. I'm tonight after this show, I'm gonna go do the boot camp at 7:30, where that's ridiculous class for an hour. So yeah, so we're good. Everything's good.
This is you. Hang on. This is you.
We can rebuild him. We have the technology. We can make him better than he was. Better. Stronger.
$6 million man.
Yeah, this is you. Watch. And listen to the sounds of the heart. This is you. You're the $6 million man. They can rebuild you. They're gonna rebuild you one day. They're gonna take your heart. They're gonna rebuild you.
Listen, how about real quickly? Let me give you my take for the week because you came up.
Wait. Are we moving on? We're moving on.
Yeah, let's move on to.
But wait a minute. Let me do play-by-play. So now we're at the 50-yard line, and it's 3rd and 10, and it's Tommy T's take. Look how stupid that was. See?
Yeah. So yes. I first of all, before I get to Tommy T's take, I want to talk about Joe Judge. I said last week, the conservative Joe Judge who blew that game against Washington. Last week, he had 4th and 4 on the Atlanta 39-yard line, and he punted. 4th and 4 on the Atlanta 39-yard line, and he punted.
So ridiculous.
Of course, the Giants lost. But here's my take this week, buddy. Today's game kind of brought it on because Urban Meyer is playing against Cincinnati, and Urban Meyer now is his first year as an NFL coach. And I think that when these college coaches come into the NFL, they usually suck. And the main reason that they usually suck is because Urban Meyer just spent, the last 10 or 12 years coaching at Florida and coaching at Ohio State, and he got the best players in the country. Like, without a doubt, the best players in the country, they go to Florida, Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, LSU. Like, they go to the same places, or Miami of Florida, right? They go to the same places. So these coaches, like Urban Meyer's he's been coaching for years at Ohio State. He's been coaching against Indiana and Northwestern and Minnesota, and then sometimes he plays Akron or he plays Youngstown State. He plays like
the Zips, right? The Akron Zips.
Yeah, the Akron Zips, or he plays Slippery Rock. So he plays all these teams that don't have any talent that he has, and he wins all these games. He lost like 10 games over 10 years or whatever it is. And then he comes into the NFL, and he's got just the opposite. He's got the worst players in the league.
It's terrible.
He's got a terrible team. And, so he comes in, and they're like, Urban Meyer is this great college coach, and they stink. Nick Saban came from LSU. Nick Saban won. Before he went to Bama, he won a national championship at LSU. He had the best players in the country. He goes to Miami, and he ended up having Jay Fiedler and Dante Culpepper as his quarterback, and they sucked. And the other guy is this. Even Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson's a college coach. And Jimmy Johnson's a Hall of Fame coach now. He's regarded as one of the greatest coaches ever. Jimmy Johnson sucked when he went to the NFL. They were 1-15 with the Cowboys. And the next year they were 7-9. And then they were 9-7. Jimmy Johnson coached like 9 years in the NFL. He coached 4 years with Miami. And they were terrible. Like, people don't realize, besides the 2 years that Jimmy Johnson won the Super Bowl, every other year he wasn't any good. When Miami, he coached in the playoffs. I think Miami gave up like 60 points in a playoff game when Jimmy Johnson was their coach. I think Jacksonville scored like 50 or 60 points against Jimmy Johnson in the NFL.
And the only reason he won those Super Bowls because the Vikings gave it to him. They gave him everything.
You're right. And I was thinking, like, maybe can Urban Meyer find a Mike Lynn, a GM, where he can give him 10 draft picks for one player? No, that's never going to happen again. Jimmy Johnson won 2 championships, and so he's a Hall of Fame coach, and that's legit. But he still went to the NFL and still had the worst players, and he sucked. These college coaches that come, from these, when they come, like when they get in, and when you end up with the worst players, you never win. So I don't know why they make such a big deal out of getting Urban Meyer. If Urban Meyer can bring the 50 best players with him to Jacksonville, then that's great. Get Urban Meyer. That's awesome. But they don't have that. He's got Trevor Lawrence, who's a good quarterback, but he looks like a terrible quarterback because
oh my God,
the other team.
It's here's an analogy of what you were saying. It was a really good take, and it's true. It's spot on. I don't know if there's an issue here because it's two different things to coach. It's weird. It's different to coach a kid than to coach an actual man.
No, there's no difference, Barry. The only difference is you're coaching the best players against bad players in college, and in the NFL, you're coaching bad players against the best players. There's no difference. People say, well, right now you're coaching men. It's their business. It's their job. That's a bunch of bull. It's their job at Ohio State too. Ain't nobody going to school in Ohio State. Nobody cares about their classes at Ohio State. That's ridiculous. Those guys are all getting paid at Ohio State. Everybody knows it. So
yeah, they're all taking basket weaving 101. I mean,
he's not coaching kids. And the other thing is, Urban Meyer comes into the scene with such an ego, as evidenced by one of his first hires was he hired the strength and conditioning coach, the former guy from the University of Iowa who coached there for 20 years at Iowa. He hired this guy named Chris Doyle. And Chris Doyle came with this reputation of being a racist. He lost his job at Iowa for being a racist.
Really?
So Urban Meyer comes in and he hires him. And immediately there was a backlash. So Urban Meyer has like an impromptu press conference and he tells the press, listen, I vetted him. I vetted him thoroughly. I'm sure that he's the right guy for this. Who the hell are you? You vetted him.
But let me ask you something. Was it fellow Roman Tom Myzinski, the strength and conditioning coach at Jacksonville?
No, he hired Chris Doyle. He hired this guy, Chris Doyle, and he had to fire him like 48 hours later.
But my question is, wasn't Myzinski, Tom Myzinski?
I don't know, but that's not the point, though. The point is, you're missing the point. Yeah. The point is that his ego was so gigantic that he went and hired a guy that was persona non grata. Like, no one was going to hire Chris Doyle. So he hires him, and he says, no, I vetted him. He's good. He got so much backlash he had to fire him the next day. That's the kind of ego that Urban Meyer comes into the league with. That's not going to work. So
it's not going to work. No.
Yeah.
It's very similar. Like Urban Meyer comes in, he's got the best of the best in college. Comes in, he's got the worst of the worst. It's kind of similar to, like, say Robert De Niro. He just can't get an acting part anymore in the Hollywood business, and he moves to Rome, New York. And he has to do plays at the Rome Community Art Center. And he's there trying to act with these hacks. And he's trying to do his thing with these people. I mean, it's the same thing. It's kind of like you get the worst, it's going to be the worst. It's just what it is. So you are who you hang around. You are who you work with.
Yeah. That's I know that Pete Carroll came from USC and Pete Carroll's had a good run at Seattle. So it's not true for everyone. Sometimes these coaches, they end up in a good situation. But most of the time, when you're getting a guy from, like now the other guy's from Oklahoma, this guy Lincoln Riley. Now he's going to get a head coaching job. Maybe Chicago Bears hire him next year after they fire Matt Nagy. Well, when Lincoln Riley shows up in Chicago, he's not going to have the best players in a crappy conference. No. He's going to have lousy players. He's going to do a lousy job.
So I want to ask you one more thing about this on your take here. I get where you're going. I want to ask you something. Can you name one or two coaches who, well, I guess it is come out of college because that's what you're talking about, but that took really terrible scenarios that they should never have turned it around and turned it around? Who would be your top?
Well, Jimmy Johnson did an amazing turnaround because that team was terrible. So terrible. He did the best turnaround that you're ever going to see. I mean, he really did. He did a great turnaround. I don't know, like Bill Walsh back in the 70s, the late 70s, he took over the San Francisco 49ers.
Yep.
And he drafted Joe Montana in the third round, and then he had a decade of Super Bowl and playoffs. So, it can be done, but these are coaches that were like Bill Walsh was an assistant coach in the NFL for years, right? So it was a little bit different thing. He didn't come in with a big name.
Ego, yeah.
Yeah.
How about Chuck Noll?
Nick Saban and Urban Meyer, they come in like stars. Even now, if Nick Saban left Alabama and he shows up, I don't know, if he shows up in Tennessee or he shows up at Indianapolis, what do you think he's going to do? He's not going to go 15-1 or 15-2. At Alabama, he's got all the best players. So I understand that you want a name for your team. Like I understand Jacksonville
but
they want gravitas, they want status, they want, well, you're not getting Ohio State's players, you're getting the coach. who was coaching against big deal. And look what they're 0-3. They're not any good.
Yeah.
They're not going to be any good. But Urban Meyer is going to lose more games this year than he did as an entire career at Ohio State. He's gonna lose 15 games.
How long was his contract for?
I don't know. 4 or 5 years, I think. I think it's one of the, standard. They're already asking him if he's going to go back to USC and take the USC job. He says, no, I'm not taking it. But I'm telling you right now, buddy, if he goes 0-12, he's going to go, man, USC is looking good to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the palm trees. Go out there. That's that's a primo job. The other guy I think you forgot was Chuck Noll. Didn't Chuck Noll take the Steelers from nothing?
Yeah, nothing. They were nothing.
They're terrible, right?
Tom Landry, his first year in Dallas, they were an expansion team. They were 0-11-1. He didn't even win a game. He didn't win a game.
But these guys weren't college gurus.
They were NFL guys. They were assistant coaches in the NFL, and
so what does that tell you
now? I don't know. There's not really a big turnaround. It's funny, but the same teams that are good, they're good every year. Usually, the Steelers, Green Bay, usually the same teams that are always good.
But so what does this tell you? Because we just went through like a one hand of coaches that were assistants and moved their way up that took crappy teams and made them something. And then everyone's so enamored now with this college thing. Like, what does it tell you? Is it better just to go within? They always say hire within and hire a guy who's upcoming assistant or offensive lineman coach, or I don't get it.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's a hit and miss. Most of the coaching hires are not the famous college coaches. They're not. So, yeah, but it's just not a slam dunk when Urban Meyer shows up at Jacksonville. No. And they're like, "Oh, we got a great coach." It doesn't mean anything. That's the whole thing. It just doesn't.
And you're not gonna like what I say here, but I don't know. I because I'm so old school, but I see these quarterbacks too come in, and I'm sorry. But they're not that fantastic. Like, I don't even know how to say it. Like, Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback. Really? I mean, I'm not saying – I know he needs a team in front of him, but I don't know. It's just weird. Like, I think these guys are overhyped.
They are. Justin Fields was terrible. Terrible. Trevor Lawrence was terrible. Like Zach Wilson, is that his name? Zach Wilson for the Jets. He's lousy. It's terrible. And I know that they got to play. I get it. They got to play. But they're not ready. They're not ready to play. They're not doing a good job. They're doing a bad job. And you know what that tells you, though, buddy? There's not enough quarterbacks to go around. It's always been the case. There's not enough good quarterbacks. Even now. Is there 15 good quarterbacks in the NFL? I mean, you can't, is there 15? I don't know. Like the guys that we're just mentioning, none of them are any good. None of them, right? So, I mean, do you want Fitzpatrick as your quarterback? Do you want Taylor Heineke as your quarterback? Do you want that guy Jalen Hurts as your quarterback? There's not 30 good quarterbacks in the world.
Yeah, so Hurts had a coming to God experience.
Yeah, he's not any good, and I mean, do you want Ben Roethlisberger as your quarterback now? No. Like most of the guys, I can rattle off 15 guys that you don't want. You don't want Andy Dalton. You don't want these guys. You don't want Tyrod Taylor.
Nope.
There's a lot of guys playing right now that you just don't want as your quarterback. So that's why you get these young kids that are supposed to be super talented, and you play them, and they're terrible. So, hopefully it's
wild. Watching Zach Wilson, I really feel frustrated for him. But, he looked like it's overtime. It's overtime for the old men in sweats. Zach Wilson looked like the hungover frat guy playing in the lawn in between the commons flag football. He looked terrible. He looked like the guy, they woke up after the big party at the frat house, and he's the quarterback for flag football, and he just throwing it.
And of course we can make excuses for them and say, well, they don't have a good team, they don't have a good line, they don't have this. You're right, they don't, but they're still bad. They're still lousy. Sorry, they're still bad.
They really are. So let's switch gears. That was a good take, and I get where you're going. I completely agree with you too, because I think this college hype of the quarterbacks and the coaches scenario of them coming to the NFL, I think it's a little too much, and I think there's a lot of coaches that are in the league that should be looked at before some of these guys. I don't. But I understand the hype and the name.
Bieniemy, you know the offensive coordinator.
Give that guy a freaking job.
What's that?
Give him a job.
Yeah. How come he doesn't get one of these jobs? You know.
I mean, what are you waiting for? Like, who's waiting? What are you waiting for? Well, how come last year it didn't happen? What are you waiting for? Like, I don't even understand what they're waiting for. With him, that's really messed up. But anyway, let's go.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Here's,
moving on.
And let's go to Costanza Cash. Now, everybody out there, this is our sports betting NFL picks segment. We call it Costanza Cash, which is after our hero, George Costanza. George Costanza's motto in life was, do the opposite of him and everything will be fantastic. So last week, I think George Costanza for us actually came through. I think I picked 8 games, and I think I was 3-5. So if you did opposite, you got 5. You were 5 wins and 3 losses.
I was 2-1. I had the under on Miami. Philadelphia and Dallas, and it went way over. I had the under on that game. I don't know why. I thought that game was going to be under. Yeah,
I did terrible. I came down to earth, and if you bet the George Costanza method on me, you made money. If you bet Tommy, you made money with Tommy. So what do you got this week, buddy?
I got this is bounce back Thursday. So I'm picking some bounce back teams. The Giants are 0-3, and they're going down to New Orleans, and they're playing the Saints with Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston's had 2 good games and 1 bad game. So the Saints are 2-1. The Giants are getting 7 points. I'm taking the points. I'm taking the Giants in the 7 points. The Saints are still going to win that game probably. The Giants are going to lose a close game. So I'm taking my first bounce back game. My next bounce back game is going to be the Steelers. I'm not a Steelers guy. I don't think the Steelers are very good. I think Ben Roethlisberger is awful. Like, just awful, terrible quarterback right now. But he's going to summons up like one last great performance. The Steelers are going to the Steelers are getting 6.5 points.
Sum it up.
They're getting 6.5 points, and Roethlisberger's gonna throw back the clock. One game, he's gonna have a decent game. They got that Najee Harris, who's pretty good running back. Steelers are going to play the Packers tough or upset the Packers in Green Bay. I don't think the Packers are that good. I don't know why, but I got the Steelers upsetting the Packers or losing a close game. So I like the Steelers with the points. I like the Giants with the points. Wow. This is bounce back. Thursday, right? And then the last bounce back game is the Eagles were completely annihilated and embarrassed by the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. The Eagles are going to bounce back, and they're going to play their best game against the Chiefs. They're not going to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs are giving 7 in Philly. But the Eagles are going to play a better game. They're going to play a much better game. So the Eagles are going to lose by 6.5. They're going to lose by 6.
How are they going to lose by 6.5? I like that. They're going to lose by 6.5.
I think the Eagles are going to score. I think the Eagles are going to score a lot of points this week. They're not going to stop KC, but they're going to score a lot of points.
That's so funny. So you usually go 3. So you people out there in TV land, Tommy always picks 3 games. But Barry D goes deep. I go break the bank parlays. I go 8 teams deep.
I like that.
I go 8 teams deep. So for all you people that got to go to the piggy bank and crack the piggy bank and get your coins out and stuff, you can go 8-team parlay with me and you can maybe make some cash. So this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go the 8-team parlay. And you can also take these and flat bet them, straight bet them. You can do a 4-team parlay, split it up, and go 8, whichever way you want to do it. But these are my picks. All right, I'm going to take the Rams over, Kansas City over, LA Chargers over, and the San Fran 49ers over. All 4 of those overs are going to hit. And if you want to parlay those on a 4-teamer, you can. All 4 of those are going to hit. You don't got to worry about the team.
I like that.
And now, if you want to go crazy and you're like, I'm going to take a more of a chance on this and I'm going to break the bank. You break the bank 8-team parlay is you take those 4 totals, all those 4 overs, and you add Kansas City -7.
Okay.
I think they're 7.5. You got to buy the half a point. The Rams are they 4.5 now?
Yeah, I thought it was 4.
Oh, it's 4. Okay.
I got 4 still.
Okay, Rams -4. That's good. The Chargers are -3.5, I think. So you got to take -3. Got to buy them the half a point. Is that true, Tommy? Are they 3.5?
It's 3.
Oh, okay.
It's 3 still, yeah.
Great. Even better. I save money. I can go buy like a little, beer or soda pop or whatever. San Fran 49ers -2. Is that correct? -2, right? 2.5?
Yeah, the 49ers are -2.5.
So you buy the half a point and you go -2. So if you take San Fran -2 after you buy the points, LA Chargers -3, Rams -4, KC -7, you add in the overs of those games, and you have a break the bank 18 parlay of Barry D here. And again, the disclaimer of Old Men in Sweats with our Costanza Cash is you can either take the Old Men in Sweats picks or you can go opposite and completely go against us and do George Costanza's Cash. And, and please let us know. You can email us. I mean, you can call us if you want on the telephone. Maybe we'll give our phone numbers out, and you can leave us nasty voicemails about how it didn't work either way, but that's not true because it will work one way or the other, and we've proven that week after week. But we would love to hear from you, and you could sign up for our newsletter on our website and let us know how we're doing, and we hope that we can make you some money and enhance your life in some way.
I think it's great, buddy. I think so I got bounce back Thursday.
I love your bounce backs.
You got it's an 18 what parlay? What do you call it? The 18
big bank. Break the big bank.
Break the big bank.
It's back up the Brinks truck.
Like
beep, beep, beep. Remember when we lived in California in LA, and anytime I saw a Brinks truck, I left the store. Remember I told you that?
You left the store, but you also used to say that sometimes you drive behind the trucks as they're going down the street because a bag might fall out the back.
Maybe the Brinks company would like to sponsor Costanza Cash, and I'm not meaning anything negative about when they would come into the bank or the stores, but I just thought it was safer. I think I got paranoid after watching the movie Heat with Val Kilmer and Al Pacino and those guys. I just got nervous about banks and the Brinks trucks. So I would just be in a bank or a store, and I would see the guy come in.
The more current movie, you remember the movie The Town?
Yeah.
The Town, remember the Southies, the Boston Southies? They would take off those, they would rob those, the Brinks, they would rob the armored cars, right?
Yeah, was Ben Affleck in that?
Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, I like Jeremy Renner. Affleck doesn't have to do too much acting in those Southie stories.
That guy's just
like but I remember I'd be in the bank and I'd be in the line and I see the guy come in and the lady go, "Can I help you?" And I go, "No," and I'd walk away and I walk out. But then you're right, on the freeway I would drive behind them because I thought maybe something's going to happen and maybe something's going to fall out. And back in the day, they didn't have the cameras they have now, and I probably could have taken a bag. But nothing ever happened like that. So anyway, we would love to get a phone call from the Brinks company if you would like to sponsor Costanza.
But they still probably had those dye packs in the bag. You would open up the bag, and it would have exploded.
Yeah, that's true,
They probably had the dye packs back 20, 30 years ago, right?
I think that came after. I think that came a little later. I think they had that thing
So what you're saying is, with no cameras and no dye packs in the bag, if a bag of money fell off the back of a Brinks truck, you could have just picked it up and no one would have been the worse.
Well, it's an old school. If you think about that happening, what they used to say as a kid: finders keepers.
Well, buddy, what you're counting on there are the worst Brinks truck drivers ever, because you're counting on them not forgetting to just shut the back door. It's the kind of truck. Yeah, and that's not so out of the realm of possibility, because I'll bet you that's happened.
Sure.
I bet you one of the guys forgot to shut the door and he's driving and bags of money are just falling out the back of the truck.
Sure. And now you never know. Like, these guys may be in the cab and he may be listening to our podcast as he's doing his job. And, because everything's so like everybody's got to do everything every minute. He's on Instagram, then he's on our post, he's on our reel, he's on our podcast.
There's
Before
one
you know it, he forgets.
I remember this happened about 20 or 30 years ago. I remember reading in the LA Times 30 years ago, there was a Brinks truck driver that he pulled a job. He was driving the Brinks truck. They found his truck on the side of the road empty, right? And this driver had disappeared. Like he disappeared. And so then as they were investigating him, this driver must have planned that heist for years because he had no friends. He had no, like there was no connection to him. They never found the money. They never found the driver. So he must have planned it in a way that he just left the country. He must have left the country under an assumed name. They never caught him.
Beautiful.
And I don't know why they never made a movie out of it or anything like that. But it was the one Brinks driver who just got away. He planned it. They found this truck on the side of the road in a wooded area. It was empty, no money in it. The driver was gone, no body, no money.
Oh, that was in Rochester, New York.
That's what I'm saying, in Rochester.
Yeah. Well, if they found the guy, they could do a movie, but then he'd be in jail. So, they could get the full story from him and do a biopic.
There had to be some kind of a documentary where all of his coworkers were saying, "Listen, we never really got to know the guy. He was always kept to himself." Or
I saw that, but I only saw it on that terrible show, Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay,
I saw that. It was terrible. So let's get into final sweaty thoughts. Do you have any final sweaty thoughts, Tommy T?
No, well, listen, buddy, I'm happy that I got a clean bill of health from my cardiologist. Oh, by the way, my heart doctor is an Italian guy, Dr. Benametto. So it's good. If you're going to go to a heart doctor, it's good you go to an Italian because they always got heart problems.
Yeah, because he eats the sausage and peppers and all that stuff. Yeah, so that's good. He knows you. He's connected to you. So that's good. The only final sweaty thought I have is I just got my AARP card in the mail.
That's great.
And I don't know. It says real possibilities.
Real possibilities.
So AARP wants to give me the card. I guess it's free, and then I have to just get involved in real possibilities with them. So I'd like them to know if they would like to contact us. I'm willing to explore the real possibilities. Old Men in Sweats are willing to explore, and maybe work with them and try to make people aware of the advantages of being an older person in a younger world in the fast times that we live. So I actually like that motto. I love that line, real possibilities. I love that. And I think that's a great catch line.
Well, I think that the possibilities in life start at 60. I think that there's nothing wrong with turning 60 and looking at the rest of your life is all the possibilities are still available to you.
I like that. I think that's a good way to end this. That's a good way to end this. So that's it. So that's it for now, sweaties. Remember to follow us on our social media and our podcast platforms, and especially go to YouTube and start following us. And please go follow our brothers at Boot Crew Media as they go fishing for some crawfish. He said, what kind of fish? Redfish? What did he say? They hunt. What do they it's the bottom feeder, isn't it? The redfish.
I don't know.
But anyway, we thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Good job, buddy. I'm glad you're feeling better.
And remember, all you people out there, all you people in New Orleans, and all you people all over the country and all over the world, remember the one thing about Old Men in Sweats, and always remember this: we won't try harder next time. So
don't even ask.
Don't even ask. Okay. All right, everybody. Stay sweaty, Las Vegas. That's our show.
Take care, buddy.
Everybody. Woo, 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 woo.